Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from in the world. This is another high vibe conversation with the High Vibe Women with Heart. I'm your host, 𝐀𝐍𝐆𝐄𝐑. I'm excited to have this on my LinkedIn page today and going forward. I'm excited to host you ladies here. And I love a good confetti drop. So let's celebrate this moment before we get started. Yay! Today we're talking all about healthy anger, and I'm going to let Linda take it away from here.
Oh, you are you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Shell. This is so fun. Yay! It was like kind of our first big advertisement show. So that's awesome. Yeah, the idea of anger, we think it's such a negative emotion. We're taught really keep your cool and not get angry. Jenny has a great story on that one. And I was allowed to get angry and process my anger. So I would say I was raised on healthy anger. How about you, Jenny?
Thank you, Linda. Yes, anger is definitely an emotion that I have been exploring as I've gotten older. And I do believe the first time that I truly connected with my anger was about a year after my divorce. And for me, it shifted the way that I viewed myself. And when I started to connect with my authentic worth, with my value, I realized that I do get to be angry when people are overstepping my boundaries, when people are treating me as less than. That's a very healthy response. So today, when I talk with my clients, we will approach it that way. Sometimes our anger tells us that it reveals something to us. It's something that we get to listen to. It may show us that there's an area in our life right now where we feel out of power. Or it may tell us that there's something right now that I am standing up for. There's something here that is important to me. And those are all good things. So that's been a shift for me, for sure.
What happens and whoever wants to jump in on this one, but Jenny, you're unmuted right now, so I'm going to ask you first. What's something that happens as a parent, if you see your child exhibiting certain anger and you don't know where it's coming from? What can you do to help them uncover and get to the root of that?
Yeah, thank you. We keep it very real here. My first response when my kids are angry is that I want to silence them. That's what happens with me because I am grown up, I was taught in the context that I grew up in that anger is something that we need to, it's a sin or it's an ugly emotion. It's something that we don't want to show. Today, I understand when I see my kids that anger is a secondary emotion. When I see that my kids are angry, it is telling me that there's something behind it. So I think today, for us, when we see our kids in that state, is to become very curious, not in reaction, but responding, and be curious as to what is going on. Is there worry? Is there anxiety? What's going on? And when we talk with our kids, we can ask them and we can talk about it as if it's a friend actually that we're sitting next to. And what is this friend telling us right now? What is important to you right now? So that curious mindset.
Yeah. So instead of being silently curious, do you ask then probing questions to get to the root of it, to have that more in-depth conversation with them? What's coming up for you right now? Or can you tell me a little bit more about why you're feeling angry sometimes?
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask?
I love the question of tell me more. Tell me more. Like, I think we get stuck in our heads sometimes with our kids that we want to make things right for them right away, or we want to give them answers, when really we can sit silently and we can allow that silence for them to figure themselves out a little bit and to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I really want to pass this on to Stina. When you're
That's
with your
exactly
kids,
where I was going next. So
what's
yeah.
coming up for you?
Pressure's on, huh? Anger for me with my kids specifically is anger is such a fast emotion for kids. Like, it tends to sort of, something triggers it, something like breaks that last, little bit of patience that they had or something, and then it just kind of explodes. And so it can be really challenging. As Jenny said, like, the first reaction is to silence, or the first, programmed response we have is, I'm not safe because someone's angry, right? Because that's what we felt as a child. So even if it's our children, we still have that response. It doesn't register that I'm now the parent, they're the child. It's okay that they're angry. It's more of just the alarm sounds. Someone's angry. I'm not okay. Make it okay. Make them calm down. And so getting through that initial gut, or not, it's not a gut response. It's just a programmed reaction, to do that. And sometimes it depends on like what the anger is coming up about for my kids, because sometimes it's just sibling dynamics, for lack of a better way to say. I have an older son and a younger daughter, and he is getting to that age where he wants to like own his space and he wants to own his stuff, and he really wants to establish himself as independent, and this is my seat and this is my room. And when that clashes with his sister, who sat in his seat at the dinner table, then we have to talk about what is kind of the healthy anger and what is the unhealthy anger, because they both happened at the same time. It's fine for you to be angry that she took the seat that you put your drink in front of. It's also not okay for you to expect that putting a cup on the table, when there's often many cups on the table that don't belong to anyone in particular, that just haven't gotten cleaned up, to expect that to be a clear declaration, I am sitting here in this seat. So we work on, like, if you're going to have those preferences and boundaries, they need to be clearly communicated. And also, working with her that, like, hey, let's also be perceptive of if someone else has kind of shown that they want to sit there. So it's like the cooperative model of, I'm going to address both sides of this, because she may have done something that kind of angered him that she could have been a little more considerate of, but he also may have overreacted to that. And so then just kind of managing it from both sides, I've found, is really important, because it's okay for them to be angry, and it's good to recognize when your reaction is very disproportionate to what just happened. So finding how to make both of them feel safe and secure in that experience.
Ooh, oh my God. Linda, I'm gonna pass this on to you real quick before I go to Dorrit. As somebody who understands like a little bit more of like the psychology behind like the anger and stuff, why else like would somebody be having unhealthy anger, and how can they reframe that to be more healthy?
Not getting needs met, for sure. I worked in a psychiatric day treatment center as a special education teacher, and I started saying, what do you need? What do you want? And how can I help you? Not that they really processed those questions. What that cued them was that someone cares, someone's listening to me and I do have a say. And what I noticed is it slowed down their bodies, it slowed down their brains. And then I had them, right? They were able to hear my words and process to get down to where that was really coming from. I also did I set up my classroom with an area about the size of a hallway, but it just had a little half piece of furniture that just was real long. And on the other side, they had giant chunks of foam, and I think I used like single bed sheets and made a gigantic pillow. And they could jump up on top of that cabinet and jump into to the foam, or they could just dive into it and just roll around and just like get everything out. And I found that to be like super helpful. So a lot of times when we're angry, we might have our words and because we're just yelling at somebody. And other times it's like we don't know why we're angry. They sure didn't. They were just like Stina said, kind of like last straw neurologically for them sometimes too. Yeah. So that's my input. Did that answer your question, Shell?
If I can unmute myself.
Yeah. Then we did processing, to find out where it was coming from and how to cut it off before it happened the next time.
Yeah. I love that. Dor, what's coming up for you when you think about healthy anger?
Thank you for that question. After raising 5 kids, I've had my portion of anger encounters. For me, the main thing was to find out why they were angry, what triggered this, because when we started kind of asking questions, just what happened at school today, or what were you doing? Have you not slept well? Have you not eaten? What's wrong? Have you got a tummy ache? What's wrong? And oftentimes we found that the anger could be that they were scared. They didn't want to go to school. I had one that was bullied severely, and she got angry at home because she didn't feel safe at the school. So she took it out in anger because she didn't know how to express it. So trying to listen to them and talk to them. I brought my daughters, my 2 youngest daughters, with me alternate days for walks with my dogs. So it was just me and her. She had me they had me all to themselves and could talk freely. No one was listening. There wasn't any competition. It was just us and nature and the dogs running and playing. So that was my kind of way in, so to speak, to try to find out where it hurts, so I could either try to help them or try to explain to them why they were feeling the way they feel, and also to that trying to teach them ways to express the anger. So like hitting is not okay, of course, and stuff like that. So they could take it out on, like, one of them was really good at writing, one of them was singing, and they expressed their anger in that way. So when I heard the music blast and that little voice go off, it was like, okay, well, she has something she needs to process. And the other one, she was just writing and was putting all of her thoughts out. So yeah, that was my experience with that. For myself, I can just say that when I was a kid, I was I must have been super patient. No one is telling me, and I can't remember myself to have been angry before I was 10 years old. But when it happened, I still remember. So it was like that last drop, and I completely just got super, super angry, and I torn down. We had in our basement at my mom and dad's house, we had like a second living room. In the basement, very cozy, and I just destroyed it. I tore down all the posters and tore up the mattresses, not destroying them, but throwing them around, and just I was so angry. So I remember that, and I was so frustrated because no one had taught me how to deal with this. So healthy anger is a good thing, but I had to learn how to deal with it in my adult life. My husband doesn't like when I do that now, so.
That's awesome, Dora. I love the idea of dating your children. When my kids weren't getting along, that was a strategy I ended up with, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that before? Like, that's just a really healthy way to have a relationship, with your kids. So, and of course, it's easier the older they get, to be able to do that if you've got a husband who's never home from work, which was my case.
Yeah. So I think just hearing all of you like share how you interact with your kids and how you navigated the healthy anger and figured it out for yourselves too. What's coming up for me is I was thinking about how I often lashed out as a kid when I was angry, well into my teens and early adult years. And I'd often be like, it was something that was building up inside me. Like the anger, as Jenny mentioned, was secondary to something else that was going on, that I didn't know how to necessarily communicate or express in a different way besides lashing out at whoever was in my way, which unfortunately my family got the brunt of that because I didn't feel that I could express it at school. I'd be fearful that I'd be getting like in trouble and that it just wouldn't, the repercussions would be worse than if I let it out at home, which kind of seems backwards now that I'm thinking about it. But I would unleash and like probably say the wrong thing to the wrong person in my family at the wrong time. And it would cause this whole big fight. And I'd immediately feel mortified and embarrassed by my outburst because I didn't mean to take it out on them. They just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and got the brunt of it. And so that would make me even more angry, but at myself because I knew what I had just done and you can't take it back. You get like, I'd get the, what did you just say to me? Like kind of, and from my parents all the time. I never got really like punished or anything, but I also like, I punished myself. We got punished a few times, my brother and I, when we were growing up. And that's maybe another story for a different day, but I would punish myself. I'd go to my room, I'd turn the music up really loud, I'd sit there at my desk and like cry it out or write a poem or draw, or whatever, build a fort. That, something I needed to do for myself to let that out more in a more healthy way. But just thinking back on like how I did navigate that a little bit. And then I connected that as you were all sharing so much information again, I was thinking about what that looks like when I see other people that are angry now. And in particular, I'm not a parent, but I'm a very great aunt. And I love my niece and nephew dearly. And so when I see them having bouts or fits of anger, and my initial reaction, yes, as Jenny said, is to silence them because you're like, where is this coming from? Like, let's get to the root of it. But like, first and foremost, please be quiet. You're driving me nuts. But I also, my first inclination after that is almost like, all right, let me corral them, because often I didn't like being called out on my anger in front of the rest of the family, or if I happen to have an outburst at school, which was, again, less. I didn't like being called out in front of my brother and my sister, or even in front of the other parent, besides the one that was like yelling at me at the moment for my outburst. And so when I respond to my niece and my nephew, it's more like, right, let me get them separately in their own safe space so that they can feel safe to share with me what's really going on. I don't know if it's because they feel shame or embarrassment to share, but that's what I would have needed when I was younger and navigating it. And so that's immediately, it's interesting to know that and recognize that that's how I respond to them now, because I'm like, all right, what did I need? And my brain just immediately goes there without overthinking it. And of course there's tools, and like even kids shows try to teach it now. Like Daniel Tiger is a really great one with having them count back from 4 and like take a deep breath, and then they can reframe their anger a little bit. But just being able to tie the pieces together from childhood to adulthood and everything in between, there's so much to healthy anger that like can help you uncover the root of what else is going on. And reframing these conversations to have that healthy attribute to it as opposed to the negative is so powerful. And so thank you, ladies, for sharing with me today, with everyone that's here. It's been such a great conversation. Anything else anybody wants to add about healthy anger? I do have one more thing I want to celebrate, but that'll be after we get these last little anger snippets in.
I will add that since I work with a lot of people who are experiencing burnout, that anger also is a symptom of stress, like the frustration when there's so much that we are taking on every day. And I know so many who they have experiences of lashing out, or like in ways that, it affects the people that they love. And it's not just that they experience their anger, they also feel so ashamed afterwards and so sad that they could not control the situation better. So I think what comes to mind for me is like, just be curious, and like that can also be a sign that you are overwhelmed right now. Like take a look at your well-being and ask yourself how you can care for yourself, so that you do speak from your healed self, so that you speak from your heart. I see that happening a lot right now, because there's so much that is outside of our control in the world also, and it causes a lot of worry, and there's a lot of information for all of us to process. So just, when we get angry, sometimes we get to ask ourselves, how am I doing? How am I feeling? What do I need right now?
I love that. Linda, Dorit, any last thoughts on healthy anger?
I don't know what happened to Stina. Stina, is your camera off, or maybe she's not streaming?
She had to pop off real quick. She said she'll be right back.
Okay, so good. So when it comes to like the human design, that's what Stina specializes in. There's this one in not self-theme for some is frustration. That would be for all of us, even Stina. And then if you're a projector, like my husband, Terry Earthwin Nichols, then his non-self theme is bitterness. And if you're like Stina's daughter, she's a manifester, and hers is anger. So like she will go directly there. So it's good to know, even like personality wise, what somebody's go-to is, and not make it wrong. So yeah, so frustration or anger or bitterness, depending on, which human design, then you just know, oh, I'm out of alignment, let's get back in alignment and dig for, like, especially for all of us, not wait until we're angry, right? If we're frustrated, we are out of alignment, and check it at the door from that place.
I wish I had that human design knowledge when I was growing up, because it's been so powerful right now. Dorit, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I saw you were popping up there. No, I just wanted to add, like Jenny mentioned about the burnout. When I was burnt out for 7 years, anger was one of those things that I really struggled with, because I had so much pain, the lack of sleep, the frustration, the depression, all of that. Just it's hard to keep a good mood when all of that is kind of on your back all the time. So the guilt, the sadness, like you mentioned, it's real. I mean, yeah. So having to find a way to deal with that anger, that was something that I was forced to do for myself, because like I told you, I was not taught at home how to deal with anger. So I had to find ways to get it out. If I didn't, I would bite the head off my husband and my kids like daily. It was just like, I was like a rabid dog some days, and that's not me. That was not the person that I wanted to be or was. It just came out that way. So yeah, I know a lot of people are struggling with that, and I've seen it in some of my clients now, especially clients that have been told as kids that they weren't allowed to be angry, that anger was a sin or something bad, that you shouldn't be angry and you should smile and you should just ignore those feelings. They have really issues now as an adult, and we've went back in hypnosis, and they've kind of talked to their parents as little kids, and been able to tell their parents that, hey, I need you guys, I needed to express this, I needed to feel those feelings, and be told that it was okay, that it wasn't something horrible that I was doing or feeling, and stuff like that. And things can shift back into place for them. So, yeah.
I love the hypnosis work that you do, Dora. It's so cool. And what is it called? Coaching by heart? Is that what your training is?
Leadership by heart.
Leadership.
It's called leadership by heart. Yeah, because we connect heart to heart, and use our empathy and what's it called? The intuition to kind of connect with the other person, and feel our way to where the blockage is, or where where the issue lies. So yeah,
Right.
we haven't got a set of questions. We don't have it's not a fixed program. Each client is special and different.
Very cool. I love it. Yeah, and I think when I first met you guys, none of you had because all three of you had the rape situations, and I'm not sure your story had any anger. Those rape stories had that anger yet. So, and I know we've worked on doing some releases where you get, angry, and then we do the neutralization. So that's been really special too. All's well over in Beanland there, Stina?
Just had a very, very quick and uneventful school conference for one of my kids. So uneventful.
Uneventful in what?
In a good way.
Good.
Not much to talk about. Doing great. So.
Yay. Cool.
All right. I think this is a great place to wrap up today's discussion on healthy anger. Once again, thank you, ladies, for joining me to share your insights and expertise. I've always learned something every time we had a conversation, and today was no exception. So for anybody who's watching now or watching the replay, let us know what healthy anger you've been navigating, or what your takeaway from today was. And we'd love to have you back next week, Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, for another high vibe conversation. We look forward to seeing you all then. And before we go, one last thing before I forget, I want to give props to Linda, who just published her 22nd book in 2022. And I think that's worth celebrating, right? Should we drop some confetti again? I think that's worth celebrating. So congratulations, Linda. That's an amazing milestone.
Thank you. Like nobody knows it yet. I haven't put it out online or anything. So yeah, that's
Ooh,
really cool.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry, did I just spill the
it's
beans?
totally fine. Not at all. It's like you're the first and like, oh, that feels so good. I haven't even gone in and like filmed changing on my profile and stuff. So you got the ball rolling. I really appreciate it.
I jumped the gun a little bit. I should have asked you before doing it.
Oh no, I'm very grateful. Yeah, welcome to the world of non-duality. That place where you can stay sane. And that's like, wow, like if I died tomorrow, I'd feel so satisfied that my kind of ultimate message finally came to my tongue and hand to get out into the world. So thank you very much for that special announcement. Appreciate it.
Just putting it out there in the world because more people need to hear it and read it, right?
Yep, that'll get me going. You'll see it soon.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for Linda's latest book and more conversations from all of us ladies. Again, thank you for joining today, and we look forward to joining you again next week. Bye for now.